What are the reasons beginning of dwelling in wassana season in Buddhism?
The traditional Buddhist rainy season retreat, also known as Vasa or Vasa period, is an annual 3-month monastic retreat, observed in Theravada Buddhist countries, especially in Southeast Asia. This retreat is also known as Buddhist Lent and is considered an important time for practicing and deepening one's spiritual practice. During the Vasa, Buddhist monks and nuns settle in a particular monastery or temple and refrain from traveling extensively. The retreat begins on the full moon day of the 8th lunar month, usually July, and lasts for 3 lunar months, concluding on the full moon day of the 11th lunar month, usually October. The origins of Vasa can be traced back to the time of the Buddha. During the rainy season in ancient India, it was challenging for monks to travel due to the heavy rains, and walking through wet fields could inadvertently harm small creatures. Therefore, the Buddha established the Vasa as a time for monastics to stay in one place, focus on their studies, meditation, and receive teachings from senior monastics. Lay Buddhists also take this period as an opportunity to intensify their practice by engaging in various spiritual activities, such as attending meditation retreats, offering alms to monks, and observing precepts more diligently.
What are the reasons for dwelling wassana season?
Avoiding harm to living beings. The primary reason for observing the Vasa is to avoid harming small creatures that are more active during the rainy season. By staying in known place, monks and nuns reduce the risk of accidentally harming insects and other living beings that may be more abundant in the wet conditions. Continuity of the monastic community. The Vasa provides stability to the monastic community as the monks and nuns stay in one monastery during this period. This allows for the continuity of monastic education, meditation practice, and communal activities without the disruptions of travel. Deepening spiritual practice. By remaining in one place and focusing on their practice during the Vasa, monastics have a chance to deepen their understanding of the Buddha's teachings, engage in intensive meditation, and cultivate inner peace and wisdom. Respect for the lay community. The Vasa is also an opportunity for lay Buddhists to support the monastic community. Lay people offer food, robes, and other requisites to the monks and nuns during this time, earning merit in generating a sense of spiritual connection with the monastic sangha. Tradition and lineage preservation. The Vasa tradition has been passed down for over 2,500 years since the time of the Buddha. Observing the Vasa continues the preservation of this ancient monastic practice, maintaining the integrity and continuity of the Buddhist monastic lineage.
What was the reasons to accept the monasteries for the bhikkhus in wassana season?
Shelter from the monsoon rains. The main reason for accepting monasteries during the Vasa is to find shelter from the heavy monsoon rains that occur in many Southeast Asian countries during this time. Traveling and staying outside during the monsoon can be challenging and impractical, and residing in a monastery provides a suitable dwelling for monks and nuns. Avoiding damage to crops and insects. By staying in one place, monks and nuns avoid walking through wet fields and forests, which could inadvertently damage crops and harm small insects and other creatures that are more active during the rainy season. Stability and continuity. Dwelling in monasteries during the Vasa provides stability and continuity to the monastic community. It allows the monks and nuns to focus on their spiritual practice, engage in studies, and participate in communal activities without the disruptions of frequent travel. Deeper meditation and study. Remaining in a monastery during the Vasa provides a conducive environment for deepening meditation and study. The monastic community comes together, and senior monks may offer teachings and guidance to junior monks and nuns. Receiving offerings from lay supporters. During the Vasa, lay Buddhists are encouraged to offer alms and requisites to the monks and nuns. By residing in monasteries, the monastic community makes it easier for lay people to make offerings and earn merit through their generosity. Renewal of monastic vows. The Vasa period is a time when some monks and nuns may take temporary higher ordination upasampada or renew their monastic vows. It is an important occasion for strengthening commitment to the monastic life and the Buddha's teachings.
What are the suitable monasteries for acceptable to bhikkhus given by the Buddha?
There is no specific list of monasteries mentioned in the Buddhist scriptures as being designated by the Buddha for bhikkhus monks to accept during the Vasa period or at any other time. The Buddha did not establish or designate specific monasteries as permanent residences for his followers. However, the Buddha did offer guidance to his monastic disciples on suitable places for dwelling. He advised them to seek dwellings that were suitable for practicing the path to enlightenment, conducive to meditation and seclusion, and free from disturbances. Seclusion: the Buddha encouraged monks to seek out secluded places away from the hustle and bustle of busy towns and cities. A peaceful and quiet environment facilitates meditation and spiritual development. Simplicity: the dwellings were typically simple and modest, emphasizing the monastic ideal of contentment with few material possessions. Supportive community: monks were advised to dwell in places where they could find support from a like-minded community of fellow practitioners. Proximity to good teachers: dwelling in places where experienced and knowledgeable teachers were present was beneficial for guidance in the practice. Safety and security: the places chosen should be safe and free from dangers, allowing the monks to focus on their spiritual pursuits without fear. Access to basic requisites: suitable dwellings should provide access to basic requisites such as food, water, and shelter.
What are the opportunities for monks to leave and return within a week during the calving season?
During the traditional Buddhist rainy season retreat, known as Vasa or Vasa period, which lasts for 3 lunar months, there are specific rules and allowances for monks to leave and return to their monasteries within a week during the calving season. This exception is known as the Kathina privilege. The Kathina privilege allows a monk to leave the monastery temporarily and stay overnight at a nearby location, typically no more than a certain distance away from the monastery. The purpose of this privilege is to enable monks to participate in the Kathina ceremony. The Kathina ceremony takes place on the first full moon day after the end of the Vasa, which means it is usually held in the month following the conclusion of the rainy season retreat. During the ceremony, lay devotees offer new robes and other requisites to the monastic community as an expression of generosity and support for their practice during the Vasa. To be eligible for the Kathina privilege, a monk must have observed the entire Vasa period, and the specific rules and distance allowed for leaving and returning may vary depending on the tradition and monastic code followed by the monastery. It's important to note that the Kathina privilege is a specific exception related to the Vasa period, and monks are expected to follow the monastic rules and precepts diligently throughout the rest of the year. The Vasa is a time for intensive meditation and study, and the Kathina privilege is one way for monks to participate in the Kathina ceremony without violating the spirit of the retreat.